Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, says the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness.
All right, man. Shalom, shalom. I want to make sure everybody can hear us. For the brothers that aren't in here, if it's someone else in this chat that's not in this room with us, if you could put a 1 in the chat to make sure that this audio is good for you guys. Shalom, man. We good? All right, I'll praise to the Most High. All right, guys. So we are here. These are your brothers at the Refiners Right School. Shalom, family. Shalom. And essentially, we're doing this so y'all brothers and sisters can see all of us here are no different than you guys, right? And we're going to go into some questions for these brothers. Some of them are doctrinal questions. Some of these are questions based on the Bible. And some of these are just questions for you to understand your brothers and see how I said none of us are really that different. So some of these questions are related to the Bible. Some of these questions are just things for brothers for you guys to connect with and have a little bit more personal connection with, right? Give me 1 sec. All right. So let's go with this first question, right? And if you guys do have some questions, go ahead and post them in the chat, right? So I'm gonna hand this to the brother Officer Dakar first. Right.
Shalom, family.
So the first question for every single one of you brothers: what's your name mean, and how long have you been in the truth?
So the first question is, what does your name mean, and how long have you been in the truth? All right, my name is Dakar, and it means ram. And rams were part of a sacrifice, and through the spirit, I feel like I got a really good name because, I feel like in this truth, you really got to sacrifice yourself. And then how long I've been in the truth? 5 years.
Um, first and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God. My name is Bunya, and my name means built. I feel like my name is most important because not only am I building in this truth with my people on the street, going out to the highways and byways, I feel like I'm building up myself. Also in this walk in this truth, and like the Bible saying, proving all things. So yeah, that's Bunya.
How long have you been in the truth?
I've been in this truth coming on 3 years in July. I want to say July 7th, somewhere in there. But yeah.
Khan, man. Shalom, shalom. All right, man. So my name is Batal Ra. My name means like a bold field worker, a bold plucker. And I gotta give like an importance or like significance to my name. Nah. But yeah, I mean, just to keep it simple, I basically just took my government name and turned it into like got its meaning and then turned it to the Hebrew, and that's pretty much it. How I got that. Shout out to Officer Kashab for the help. But how long I've been in the truth? So I first started to get this knowledge in like 2019. I want to say like mid 2019 or something like that. 2020, I got my first set of fringes. So roughly been in the truth for about like 6, 7 years or something like that.
Shalom. My name is Yatazak Shaman, and it means pouring oil. In other words, pouring wisdom. And I've been in this truth for about, I would say, since I've known about it since 2017, and I took it actually serious not until 2019, I believe, where I started wearing fringes. I stopped shaving my beard and so forth.
Shalom. It's the brother Gabar, right? Shalom. Been in this walk for about 3 years this upcoming Passover. Gabar. All right, so there's two definitions for Gabar, right? There's Geber and there's Gabar. And my name's Gabar, and so that means to prevail and to overcome, right? And that I feel like I was named by this brother right here. I was like, man, what should my Hebrew name be? He's like, well, what does your name mean? And my name is Guillermo. So Guillermo is a strong-willed warrior. And when you look at what a warrior is Geber. But when you look at the root word, it's Gabar, which is to prevail, which is something that I feel like resonates with me a lot. And yeah, come on.
Shalom. My Ashur over here, brother my Ashur. So my Ashur means like in English it means uprightness. And then the definition of it, you see it as like a solid like playing field, like an open field. And then I found out about the truth in 2022, and I've been doing the work for about a year and a half right now, going on 2 years, I think, in like September or something like that. Pass it on to the next dynamic speaker.
All right, my name is Kashat, represent the tribe of Judah. My name, if you'll find it in Genesis 1 and 2, Kashat means darkness. Before there was light, there has always been darkness. All right. So just to let you know, I'm the first thing. Okay. I've been in the truth. I started really like looking up things or taking research for myself in 2016. By then I stopped smoking Black and Milds. In 2020, stopped smoking weed, and I got my fringes in 2020. So I've been in the truth for a little while, but actually with a cat, probably about 5-6 years. That's pretty much it. There you go.
Let's get in here real quick, man. My name is Kashab. Oh yeah, it's a lot, man. My name is Kashab, man. My name means lamb, and I've been in the truth since 2019, right? 2019, and like how the brother said, I remember when I was coming into this, I was waiting on my name, and I was like, bro, I want my name, some crazy name, Edomite Slayer, this and that, something. And at the time, the leader at the time said, "Oh, your name's gonna be Kashab." I was like, "Bro, that's what the hell?" And it means lamb, right? It's something simple, and I feel like through the spirit, how the brother was saying, it's very humbling, right? Very humbling. So let me pass this. All right, we'll start again at Ilawan.
All praises. Shalom, peoples. All right, my name is Ilawan, Officer Ilawan from the Refiners, man. Ilawan means the mighty. He was one of the sons of Zebulon. And I've been in the truth. I knew about the truth at the end of 2018. And I didn't fully start keeping the laws until the end of 2019. You know what I'm saying? So it's been quite a couple of years, going on 7 years now. You know what I'm saying? So all praises to the Most High. We're still here and rocking, man.
All right, so the next question is again for everybody. What was the last straw that you realized that took you from, well, these guys are crazy, to these guys are speaking facts?
I remember one of the first things that the very first thing that I could remember would be I remember I grew up in the church, You know, I grew up Catholic for most of my life, and then right before that, I was Christian for maybe about like maybe 2 years, but I started going to Bible studies and stuff like that. I remember I got out of Catholicism because my brother had showed me Exodus 20:4, saying that we shouldn't have statues. That was the first thing that got me into Christianity. I'm like, okay, that's true. But um, I'm like, if I actually read the Bible, it goes against Catholicism. But now I remember that once I kept on reading the Bible, it started going against Christianity. So that I had to make a decision there. And the first thing I remember was that the whole Cain and Abel. Uh, I had an idea in my head, right? Put in me that Cain had a mark like Harry Potter on his forehead and he got zapped by lightning. That was not in the Bible. That blew my mind for some reason. And I remember calling my brother. I'm like, bro, you know that's not in the Bible? He's like, it's not. And that pushed me to start going through all the other instances of stuff that I thought were in the Bible but weren't. And that like really, you know, solidified what I believed. Right.
Con, so my first experience with Israelites was in 2015. I was living in downtown Long Beach, and I seen some niggas on the corner in front of 7-Eleven yelling and screaming the Bible. I believe it was True Nation, because it was in Long Beach and they was in the Burgundy, right? And I'm trying to go out and have a good time, and I'm scoffing. Look at these fools out here yelling and screaming the Bible, right? And then it wasn't until I think it was 2019. I was working with in construction, and I had Issachar, one of my Issachar homies. He came up to me. We was working together for like 2 years, and he was like, "Hey man, we're the Israelites of the Bible." And me, I'm in the world still, so I'm just like, "What the hell is this fool talking about?" You know what I mean? Just real confused, thinking this dude's like bugged out on some type of drugs or something. And then it was 2 years after that, 2021. I was working with another welder in construction, and he was always watching these videos, and he shared the same thing with me. He was like, "Man, we the Israelites," and so that's when I started like to get my first Bible and open it up and start to do the research.
Oh, praise. Um, Let me see. So me coming into this truth, this understanding, um, I want to say 3 years ago. So what is it? 2023. About 2023. So I was in a relationship. The relationship wasn't working out. But even before that, backpedaling. Um, I was in barber school. I want to say like 2015, 2014. Did a year of barber school, but I was also going to a Christian church. Started to realize in the Bible, um, trying to follow along in the church, in the Christian church, noticing the pastor bringing up, basically the same lessons, things of that nature. Started asking questions, seeing who the Israelites were in the Bible. Really couldn't get really a breakdown of that. So it was like, getting the feel good message, and then returning right back to, my folly, or, the things that I'll do after church. But speeding back up, what really brought me into the truth is like the Most High God, like showing us how He could take things away from us, and showing us like that we're not in control of everything that we go through. So it took for me to realize that, um, not only I have I understand that I have a piece about me that I need to, get back to, which the Bible talks about. We have a culture, a heritage that would have been taken away from us. And so now that I'm understanding who I am, it's like I want to build more in that. And that's another reason why my name is Bunya. Um, but really being, speeding up to today, I was in a relationship, and that relationship didn't really go the way that I intended it to go. And that's the crazy part is that I thought I was in control of the relationship, which I wasn't. And the Most High tore that up. He broke it apart to teach me that He's in control and that we need to come back to the one true God. And that's but yeah, man.
Can you reiterate the question, Baba Kasha?
What was the last straw that you realized that took you from these guys are crazy to these guys are speaking facts?
Okay. So to keep it a buck, honestly, I never thought that the Hebrew Israelites was tripping or they was bugging out or nothing like that. You know, I grew up 7 Day Adventist, so I always like had some form of knowledge or study of the Bible. You know, 7 Day Adventists, we grew up keeping the Sabbath, keeping the dietary law, the Ten Commandments, and everything like that, right? So then, when I started to separate from the church and then started to, just do my own thing outside in the street, whatever, right? I had actually, I don't know if I ran into a video online or I remember I seen IUIC up at Fruitville Station, and I was actually out on a bike ride going down International. I was on my bike and I seen the brothers in purple with the fringes, and I went up to them and I was like, "Hey, I heard about the stuff that y'all do, and I mess with it." And I was like, "Y'all keep doing what y'all doing." And I just got back on my bike and I skedaddled. Um, but then so I was working at a warehouse up in Union City, and shout out to the brother, formerly known as Katazwan. He started working there as well. And at this time, like we were both hella into conspiracy theories. I think he was like studying like Islam or leaving Islam at that time. So we were just hella talking about like conspiracies and the Bible and everything like that. I added him on Instagram. I got myself a new Bible, and then we both left the job, and then I ran into him again at my little brother's eighth grade graduation. I ran into him. I seen that he had fringes on, and I was telling him, I'm like, "Hey, bro, like I just started to get back into the Bible, like studying." He was like, "Hey, man, all praises." He was like, "Bro, we the real Israelites, like go check out Deuteronomy 28." I'm like, "All right, I'll check it out." Like I was already in the mindset of studying more. Um, so then I went and I read it, and it just sat with me. It dwelled with me. And honestly, too, like when I was in the world, I always felt some type of way towards the Caucasian nation because I knew about like the history that they did to black folks, to Hispanics, the indigenous and everything like that. And it never sat well with me. So then when I read Deuteronomy 18 and then I started to study a little bit more, it just yeah, 28. So like when I read Deuteronomy 28, everything just sat with me, and I just started looking into it myself and just started building from then on. Like I said, then 2020, I got my first set of fringes and just kept it pushing from there, kept it stepping for Yahweh. Yeah.
Ask the question again.
What was the last straw that you realized that took you from these guys are crazy to these guys are speaking facts?
Okay. So kind of like what Ara said in the beginning, I didn't look at it. I didn't look at the movement as crazy or the awakening, whatever people want to call it. What grasped my attention was the prophecies that a lot of these guys would go into and showing how accurate it was. And I've always believed in the Bible, but never read it all like that for some reason. What really pushed like I guess the last straw to at me actually wanting to join a group or a camp was when on YouTube there was a time where I noticed my comment was taken off of a video, and my comment was, and what I said was, Edomites go back to, Caucasians go back to Edom in the Bible. So I remember I clicked out of that video, and for some reason I went back to go watch that video like another day to finish it. My comment wasn't there, so I was like, okay, that's weird. And I decided to put what I put next was like Asians. Some of the Asians, they go back to Moab in the Bible, but that comment would stay there when you click out the video and go back in. So I started thinking like, it's funny how this particular nation is trying to hide who they go back to in the Bible. I think it could probably still happen today. I'm gonna even do it after this video. I'm gonna type in Caucasians go back to Edom in one video, click out of it, go back in, and see if the comment's still there. But that was pretty much what sealed it for me. And the thing was, I don't want to say I have a thing like like a hatred towards Edom, but it's like a dislike for sure. Because I dealt with plenty of racism. I've been called the N-word, even though I'm Hispanic. I dealt with a lot of racial profiling with police, so I understand what our Southern Kingdom brothers go through, and that type of stuff. It sucks, but that was pretty much the last thing that kind of pushed me to eventually join a camp in 20. I think it was 2019, the first time. So yeah.
I think I ran into Israelites one time, but I wasn't really paying attention to them. I was right there by Civic, or where is it that we used to teach by Walgreens? Civic Center. They were right there where that trolley was that makes a U-turn. It was GMS, and I was looking at them, and it was during an internship. I did a medical internship on the summer of like freshman year, going into sophomore year, because they paid me $350. I was like, money, so I was like, all right. I'm just staring at them. I had no idea what they were saying. I don't even remember making a reaction. I just walked away. And then whatchamacallit. So I never really thought they were crazy until when was it? Was it 2020, 2021? I believe it was yeah. So like for a year straight, I was praying to God to help him, like to help me stop smoking. I was smoking so much. Like I couldn't, man, I was smoking so much. And I was like, this isn't benefiting me. And then the most high used this brother right here to open my eyes. This is my brother right here for real. And I don't know what he posted on Snapchat, but he posted something on Snapchat. I'm like, bro, what the H is this? I want to do 25 push-ups. But what the H is this? And then he was like breaking it down. I'm like, what? I'm like, that says that in the Bible? He's like, yeah, bro, you can get on a call. And then we got on a call. It was me, this brother, and the brother Maya Kalan, formerly known as Katazawan, hopped on a call, and they blew my mind. I was like, bro, you got to show me that in the Bible. And he showed me that. And then I was smoking, and during that call, and he's like, hey, but you got to stop smoking and stuff like that. And they started breaking it down to me, and I was like, bro, I like looked up on my ceiling. I was like, this is probably the only chance the Most High is going to give me to see if I really desperate to come back, to like stop smoking. So I took it. I stopped smoking. I had I gave like so many pounds for free. I was trying to stop it. I let a half pound go to mold. I was like, I'm not going to smoke no more. And I started following the laws that day. I told this brother to make me tassels. I picked them up as soon as they were finished. I tried to keep the Passover. I kept it incorrectly because I didn't know, but I was ever since then. That's that day that I heard the information. I started keeping all the laws as best I could, and I thought that this had to be the truth, and it is the truth. But yeah, that's basically it.
Shalom again. Myasha War speaking. One thing that like all praises to the Most High that he chose to utilize me right in this body that I'm at right now. I grew up Mormon, so I knew about the lost tribes, right? And I also knew about the Jewish community, but I never had the breakdown or understanding about that. So me just diving into different doctrines and stuff, I stumbled upon Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and I Googled that on the internet, bro. And that's the only doctrine or truth or however you want to put it. That's the only thing that stuck with me. And at that time, I was lost. I was a lost sheep. I was trying to figure out my way. And at that time, I was praying for truth. You know what I mean? And that's something important that we all do that we should all be doing. Is pray for that truth, man. Pray for that light. The Most High is definitely real, and He's willing to. He's waiting on us basically to repent, come back to His laws, and have faith in Christ. And yeah, that's all I got.
Repeat the question for me.
So it's how long, what was the last straw that you realized that took you from these guys are crazy to these guys are speaking facts?
I'll probably say it all. Last straw, probably everything hit me up at once. I can remember this was probably in like this is Kashak talking. It was like 2016 when one of my coworkers came up to me and we had a little downtime, and he started talking about angels. Just I thought it was bugged out when he started talking. I'm like, what is he talking about? So he was talking about we the true Jews. He had the ephod on underneath his shirt. I'm like, the heck is all these stones? I don't know nothing. So he's like, yeah, he had a little pendant, all the stones. So I was like, okay. So he was like we tell people today, we like, don't just take my word for it. Look for yourself. Go find for yourself. So I went home that day, went straight to YouTube, ended up running into IUIC, GMS, Deacon, gang of people, right? So I just started going down a rabbit hole. It led me down to a rabbit hole. And then I went to a summit. And then yeah, it was basically all, hey, and then that was it, pretty much it. And then it was gradual. But from Jump Street, I didn't know what he was talking about that day. And then that day I went and did YouTube. And then the next day, and then I was like, okay, because we was doing actually doing some study outside the Bible, just on historical accounts, other Roman historical accounts, just talking about Jesus and different things at that time, and hermeneutics and how everything was going down. And that brought me into the truth right there and said, oh, you guys ain't that crazy. That's pretty much it.
So like, let me block too many people, man. But Shalom's brother Kashab. The last thing for me at one point, I think was, well, first I started reading for myself, right? Started reading for myself, and then I got to Jacob and Esau, and I went to YouTube. I was like, well, who's Jacob today and who's Esau today, right? And then I saw this video that was saying that Esau's the Arabs, and I was like, well, I guess Esau's the Arabs. And then I started, it gives you what other videos to watch and whatnot. And I saw this video, and it was this crazy black lady talking about, well, if you're not black, you're not gonna be saved in whoopty whoop. I was like, well, it kind of makes sense. For real. And then I saw a brother, a powerful brother, Lord willing, he's still doing things out there. He don't post much, but his name was General Hashar, right, with AOC, and he was debating some dudes in New York, and he started talking about Mexicans as Israelites. I'm like, oh, bro, this got to be it right here. But the thing that I was tripping on, I was still, I grew up Catholic, and then I was like, these guys are still tripping. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. And I was like, you know what, I got to go see them. So I went up to Frisco. Oh, at that point, I was watching Sakari videos at that point. And I remember seeing Ayash typing, shout out to the brother Ayash, and it said Sakari, San Francisco. And I was like, bro, you're in San Francisco? Put up on him. I was trying to debate with him that day. And the day that I went, it was Passover. And they were in LA that weekend. So then the week after that, I went back again. We talked. The brother confounded me. He was like, so what are you thinking, bro? He's like, you trying to join? I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And that was really, I didn't really think I had no pushback ever with the Bible, because I was like, my mindset was, if these elites, these, like these, I was like going into crazy conspiracy theories, and I was like, well, if they believe it, why don't I believe it? You feel me? So I never really pushed back on the truth. I was always very accepting of it, right? So let me see. So the next question, and we'll pass it around one more time before it's individual brothers, right? So next question is, how long did it take you from the moment you heard about the truth to the moment you met up with the camp in person?
So possibly maybe around like 6 months. So I the first video I ever watched was the brothers from Sakari, man. You know what I'm saying? It was Alazar, man. Right down. It was a video down in San Diego where he was confounding a Catholic dude, and I grew up Catholic all my life, right? So that hit different. And I'm seeing a bunch of dudes, like black and Hispanic dudes. I'm like, what's going on over here, right? But I'm seeing that these guys were speaking at like college level graduates, and they were pulling facts left and right, like telling basically this confounding a devout Catholic on his own religion and stuff, because he grew up Catholic too. So like I remember seeing, I'm like, bro, I've never seen somebody talk with this type of boldness, right? So what was the question again?
How long did it take you from the moment you found out about the truth to actually meeting them in person?
Yeah, so I watched that video. I remember that got me hooked. Right after that, I started watching like videos back to back, and it started from like one video a day to I started watching videos all day long, and that's all I would do. And then I started believing, but it took me 6 months to actually pull up, right? Shout out to Ayash, man. Ayash Hawad, man, and my brother, man, Hassan Izab, man. Right? They're the ones that were pushing having a camp in San Francisco. And I remember my brother was just like, bro, like you should start up with us, right? There's only two of us who like, we need soldiers and stuff. And I remember feeling like, bro, like if it's not on my spirit to do it, I'm not gonna do it just to do it. Like I need to feel to want to do it. So after 6 months of watching videos and seeing how like I started actually having sympathy for my people I feel for the first time in my life. Like, and uh seeing, and I'm walking on the street seeing like our people homeless on drugs while these other people are in Bentleys and yachts and high rises and stuff, and it started coming before my eyes. So 6 months after that, seeing all that, reading all that, uh watching videos, I ended up coming to camp. And from that point on, it was just on go. I started coming every Sunday, and then I'm like, you know what? Like, I think I need to do something for my people instead of just sitting on the sidelines. And ever since then, it's just been up, man. So about 6 months. Long story short, 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, Shalom. So 2019, bro told me we were the Israelites. Looked at him like he was crazy. 2021, I was working with another bro. Told me we were Israelites. He was always watching, camp videos off to the side during lunchtime, and he put me on the camp videos. Started watching IUIC, WFI. Um, I think I was real heavy in WFI, and then I remember there was a Long Beach camp that I seen in 2015. And watching WFI, them brothers always was talking about, brother Naquam over there was always talking about the Most High is gonna pull his men off of these streets. And I was in great fear that I was gonna miss out. So I remember, into 2021. So 2020 was November, was when my boy told me. Then 2021 was when I ended up joining Sakari in like June. But I remember those like 3-4 months I was driving around like Friday, Saturday, like looking for a camp on the corner. Finally hopped on YouTube and just put in like Long Beach Israelites, and Sakari Long Beach came up, and then that's my first camp that I went and attended. Shout out Sarim Bazak.
Oh. Let me get that question one more time. Robert Shaw.
It's how long did it take you from the moment you heard about the truth to the moment you met up with camp in person?
Okay. So how long before I heard about the truth? So going to me thinking, I was in control of like the relationship I was in and me doing what I wanted to do at the time. And before that, being in the Christian church, having questions, my questions not really so much being answered. Um, the repetitiveness of the Bible sounding the same for me. Um, Speeding up. My brother Dakar here, um, in my time speeding up to, my relationship and me thinking that, you know, um, I'm in control and I can do what I want. The Most High humbled me through my brother, and my brother was in his truth, and my brother handed me a pair of fringes um, after I got done talking to him and one of my other brothers um, about like what I've been going through. Um, and so my brother was like, these fringes right here, basically are not a game. Like this is our part of our culture, our heritage, and whenever you're ready, the Most High puts it on your spirit. And me, I want to say it took me probably about a week um, to pull up to Sakari camp in SF for me to put those fringes on and for me to put my hand on the plow and and continue to do this walk. And I mean, it's it's a journey for sure. Um, but I mean, I didn't think the brothers was crazy or anything. You know, um, I just really appreciate my brother bringing me in, and the Most High, using him and using me to be able to take that, that skin off my eyes to really see. So yeah, all praises.
Come on, man, no praises. Um, so like once I started to start keeping the law, and I got my first set of fringes at the beginning of 2020. Um, I had got them off of again the brother Mayakala, formerly known as Katazawan. His rib was making fringes at the time, Gadalium, and I asked for a set for myself and for a set for my rib at the time. And then I was studying a little bit more, rocking the fringes, getting more into the law. And I want to say it took me about mm, like three to 6 months before I finally pulled up to Sakari SF, because that's the camp that Katazawan was in. One day I just remember hitting them up. I was just like, yo, like I'm trying to hit camp. I'm trying to see what it's like. I ain't gonna lie, when I pulled up, I felt like I was meeting celebrities, bro. Like, it's like niggas that you see on YouTube, I'm like, damn, like, you know, these brothers really putting in work. Yeah, and then so it took me about like 3 to 6 months after I got my first set of fringes, really start getting into it to finally pull up to camp. And I was actually gonna start prospecting for Shikari SF, but then I never got to it. And then later on, shout out to MFB, you feel me, and got on the street.
That's right. Uh, let's see. Hmm, how long it took me? I want to say I found out about the information 2016, late 2016. So from I would say from 2017 to 2019, I was watching a bunch of videos. I'm talking about every single day. I'm watching either WFI, GMS, ICPK, IUIC, Sakari, etc., and other more camps too. But there was a time where Sakari went live, and Officer Kashab here was in the live as well in the chat room. And I remember I had said something in the comment section, and the brother Ayash of Sakari said that's not true. Uh, uh, the brother in the live ended up telling Ayash, no, that is true. And then Kashab ended up asking me, hey, brother, where you at? Where you located? And I told him Redwood City. And the brother's from East Palo Alto. So he told me, hey, come to SF camp, pull up on us. So that's when I decided to go do it. So it took me about total 2 years of finally starting to keep the commandments. Yeah, bro, it took me a while. Those 2 years I was still smoking weed, watching camp videos. It took me time to really kick into gear. I know some, like how some of these brothers just a few months, some people a day or two. Uh, yeah, it took me 2 years.
It was about joining the camp, right?
Meeting them, like coming, pulling up to camp.
Man, for me, everything was as soon as possible. Like, I was keeping, because I was actually, like, a little side note, I was keeping the commandments before the truth, just because I felt like I had to. So I was like, I really like didn't steal, I didn't lie, I didn't say the Lord's name in vain. I thought like saying OMG was, yeah, I'll get on my rib. I'll be like, don't say that. Say, oh my gosh, like, for but as soon as the brother explained the truth to me, I was like, bro, when are we gonna go out there and teach? And then I don't remember. I remember the first time we held camp. Katazwan was still in Sakari. He was like, don't say nothing. We're gonna hold this camp right here, this little camp right there by the liquor store on Tennyson and damn, I forget what it's called. But yeah, I immediately pulled up. I was reading for them, and it was so short. And I was like, "Where we going?" Like, and they're like, "I'm going home." I'm like, "Man, this was nothing." I was like, "This was nothing." And then yeah, but I wanted to be there for longer. And then he said, "There's these brothers out in SF. They're called Sakari." He's like, "I'll take you out there to go see them." I was like, "Bro, just let me know when you're going." And then we went, and I seen these brothers, and then I just like the it's like their energy. I was like, "Damn, like I gotta get like these fools, man. Like these guys are like fucking 25 push-ups." Hey man, this is passion right here, bro. This don't count, man. This don't count. It's passion. But man, I gotta do 75 because I did 50 for yesterday. But yeah, man, their posture and everything, and then the verses, and they're reading out loud. I was like, man, these guys are on a different level, and they're just bringing out precepts. I forget who was teaching at the time, didn't even look at his phone or nothing. Give me that, give me this, and I'm like, what? I'm like, that's crazy. I'm like, I need to get like these guys right here. And I was just like tuned in, and so everything was fast for me. Everything was just like I just wanted to go in. I was like, somebody out there needs to hear this as much as I needed to hear it. And so I was just like, man, I'm out there. And when they made that call, like, hey man, we're gonna hold this camp. We're calling in brothers who left Sakari or this and that. We're gonna do. I'm like, bro, I'm in. And then we held our first camp at Southland Mall. I met Iwan for the first time. I think it was the second time we did it. Second camp. I met Tazamak. I met Rotazia, and I was like, bro, this is it. And then ever since then, I met B, and then the Refiners afterwards.
Shalom. Washore again. Oh, yeah, man. Through the spirit, bro. It took me a while to actually get the drop on the camp. It took me about a year, but during that time, I was actually driving around SF trying to find a whole nother camp. I couldn't locate them, bro. I never had social media, so there was nothing that I could reach out to them. I was trying to find SF GMS. You know, shout out to those brothers and shout out to all the brothers, all the camps out there, everyone pushing this truth, man. I was watching a lot of Tahar on the East Coast, and that's who I learned all these doctrines from. um, and through the spirit, man, I was on the W2. I was working out there in Phoenix, Arizona, and I ran into, or I didn't ran, but I drove by Phoenix Sakari, and those powerful brothers out there. And then Officer Ayash from SF. I actually had the same shift work schedule as he did, and I seen him in person, but I didn't know it was him. He just looked hella familiar from basically me watching SF Sakari YouTube videos, and I didn't know it was him. I was looking for the fringes and stuff. Me personally, I didn't see it, but and then and then me working my job on Saturdays, I actually passed by SF Sakari, and then I was like, okay, so this is where they be at. But at that time, I was still trying to find the other camp though. So then I just never found the other camp, and then I already knew where their drop was at, and then my work schedule changed. So then I pulled up one time, and then talked to the officer, brother Hazza. You know what I mean? That was the first interaction I had was with them, and then the camp, and then yeah, joined up, linked up with them, and now Refiners. So all praise the Most High.
All right. It's Kashak. Read the question one more time. One more again.
How long did it take you from the moment you heard about the truth to the moment you met with the camp in person?
Okay, so when my coworker, my partner Rob, when he had told me about it, I did my rabbit hole and YouTube, and I ended up going to the Mashara Yasharala Summit in 2019, and I think it was 2018. Yeah, it was like in San Diego. So that was like my first. I still was shaving. I didn't have no fringes. I didn't have I had no Z's, no nothing. It was just me, and it was another guy. I was clean cut. I had nothing. I just on a humbug, just drove down to San Diego. It was 90 miles from I think I was staying in Carson at that time. And I drove 100 miles to San Diego, and it was me and another Iscarite brother from Pomona, and we was the only ones basically didn't have no fringes, no nothing. So that was in 2018. So then when I came back home from that same exact summer, I met Tookie Williams' brother. I mean son, excuse me, son. I think they was teaching on Venice. So he's like, come out there. So I end up still watching videos. And then I went that same exact day, I ended up dropping a brother off that stayed. I don't know if he ended up going to a camp and he was just getting into the truth like myself. And I dropped him off. This was in November. And I remember I went home and I told my kid's mother at the time, I said, we got to get rid of these Christmas trees. And then it went south from there. And so really, it went down like 9/11, okay? The Twin Towers. It was 911. It went down. So over a Christmas tree. So I end up getting my own place because it went bad. And I was living in Long Beach. And then I ended up seeing Sakari Long Beach. They had just started. I think maybe like that. They might have maybe camp maybe for a month. And because I know it wasn't no other camps in around my area that I could find. Later on, I did see more and more. Once you get in the truth, it's kind of like when you buy a car and you see everybody with your car. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But at the time, I couldn't find nothing. So I ended up seeing TV. I mean, watching YouTube, and I said, you know, I'm gonna go down there. I think they down there right now. And I jumped in the car, smashed down the Long Beach and PCH, Long Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway in Long Beach, and met the brothers. And then it was it from there. Sergeant Bazak, good looking out, and that was it. That's what it was.
From the time that I first heard about the truth to the day I met up with SF Sakari, it was maybe like 4 or 5 months. I was smoking a lot at my house. My house was a spot to come through and everybody would burn. And I would make my homies be like, hey, bro, if you want to come to my house and you're trying to smoke, you got to read the Bible. And we're reading the Bible, bro. We were sitting there doing popcorn style reading. All right, cool. You can't pass the book until you read 2 verses. We were doing stuff, crazy stuff, bro. And then I remember just getting disgusted with myself, bro, at one point. And I was like, you know what, bro? I was telling the guys, I was like, I got to stop smoking. And they were like, well, that's you at this point. With you, I don't want to do that. And I was like, you know what? I'm done, bro. I'm done smoking. And then everybody just stopped coming around. All my boys stopped coming around, right? And then I was like, you know what? I gotta do better, man. So it took me about like 4 or 5 months before I was like, I gotta go see these brothers, man. And yeah, I would say 4 or 5 months or so. All right, so this question right here is for my officers, man. All right, so brother Dakar and brother Ilawam, step up right here, Baba Kush. All right. So I'll pass it to Dakar first. So what was your biggest obstacle when you finally decided, okay, I'm convinced this is the truth, that you had to overcome to be 10 toes down? So what was your biggest obstacle you had to overcome?
I say my biggest obstacle was smoking weed, man. That weed demon be strong. I remember, I'll be high all day. I wake up 5 a.m. for construction. All right, smoke a bowl on the way to work. Had the wax pen at work. And smoking a bowl on the way home and smoking before I went to sleep, man. And when I was coming to this truth, I heard that we couldn't smoke, and so I was trying to get right, throwing 8s out the window, going back and buying more. But that would probably be my biggest obstacle that I had, was stopping smoking. And I remember somebody told me that you can't do it alone. You have to pray to the Most High to have get that spirit taken off of you. And that's once I started doing that, it was like nothing.
Yeah, I'll say I could relate on that. I had 2 that really held me back. I'll say smoking definitely was one of the biggest hardest things I had to stop doing, because that wasn't allowed for us to smoke while we were in our previous organization, right? So that was definitely hard, because I used to sell. I was around dispensaries, like I was working doing that stuff, and providing those things to the dispensaries and stuff. So that and without knowing, now that I'm looking back at it, gang banging, even if I stopped like being in the streets, physically doing it, I would still think about it in my mind. Like I would still see another brother and like get that feeling in me. Like, and now that I was looking back at it, or I'll try to you know what I'm saying, look at other Hispanics with that eye. And I ain't gonna lie, that took me a while to get out my head, and all praise to the Most High. Both of those biggest issues that I had, are not a problem anymore. I love all my brothers and sisters, Black and Hispanics, and I don't smoke anymore, man. So that was my biggest two issues for real, for real.
Okay.
Your turn.
Yeah, I was like, it's a lot here. I should have added a third chair in the ground, but my biggest, yeah, we'll keep it like that. It's fine. So, biggest obstacle, I wouldn't say it was the weed. For me, it was kind of it was kind of hard because I remember for like the first month prospecting, I was still smoking on the way home after camp. When I was doing the whole smoking thing at my house, I remember trying to, and shout out to my homies that are gonna watch this, right? I remember being like, bro, these guys is tripping. And the thing that I went up to debate Ayash with was about circumcision. That was probably my biggest thing. I was like, these guys is tripping. He's talking about, man, they want me to mutilate myself because Paul's talking about this. What about Paul and Paul this? And I think that was probably my biggest thing because when I did come in, I was, uncircumcised at the time. And when I went to Passover, that was the most embarrassing thing ever for me, pulling up there and then being like, well, everybody that's not, go ahead and step outside. And I'm chilling way at the front. And you got to do that walk of shame all the way in the back. And I go in the room and there's like 20 other brothers in there. And I'm like, bro, I can't do this, bro. You know what I'm saying? But that was my biggest one. And then when I started going in, I'm like, all right, I got to do this. At this point, I think I was like not even 4 or 5 months into the truth, maybe at that point. And I didn't have money for nothing. And I'll just put it like that, man. Just know you guys have a powerful brother, man. All right. So let me see. It got done, guys. This question is for Yatazak and Ara. Throw out, brother. No, you can leave it there for just in case at one point. Yatazak and Ara, man. So I'll pass it to Yatazak first and then Ara. Is there a single verse that sticks out to you as your favorite verse in the motivational side?
Golly, bro, I can't even. There, I got so many verses.
A single verse.
I know, bro. Wait, say it one more time.
It said, is there a single verse that sticks out to you as your favorite verse in the motivational side?
Oh man, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now.
Look at this guy. All right.
So one scripture that always sticks out to me in motivation, honestly, it's really two of them, right? But the one when I was first getting into the truth that really pushed me to like keep it pushing and like really dive deeper into this knowledge, this wisdom, is Joshua 1:8. That was a huge one when I was first getting into the truth. Like meditate day and night in the law. Like don't ever stop talking about the law. Like always discuss it, because being in the law and like understanding and living by that way, like that's basically what gives you the prosperous life, right? And then another one, if I may, can I bring up the other one? Another one that has always like got to me was Matthew 6, the last few verses of Matthew 6, basically talking about how like don't worry about what you're gonna eat, don't worry about what you're gonna drink. Of course I'm paraphrasing, but it pretty much says that if God is taking care of the animals, the birds outside, they have the seeds that they gotta eat, the herbs that they need. What makes you think that He's not gonna take care of you? Don't worry about all these other stuff, food, clothes, anything, because ultimately that's what the Gentiles seek. And verse 33, Matthew 6 and 33. It says, but it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else is gonna come to your plate. You know, and those are the basically the two key ones that has always got to me when I was first getting into the truth. To just keep it pushing, man, because ultimately, like, as much as I would want to go back to trapping and have like these these wicked thoughts, just come from the streets and everything like that, those two always kept me in check and wanted to stay like, keep it pushing.
I remember now the way it's in the Sirach. I believe it's chapter. I can't remember if it's 19. I believe, and it's the verse that says, "You got to fear God in order to be accepted by Him." That was the key one for me. I ended up doing or I still got to finish it years later, a breakdown on fearing God and how important it is. So that verse is what still to this day keeps me afloat, pretty much.
The next one, my brother Mayashawar and Banya. My brother Mayashawar and Banya. So I'll pass it to Mayashawar first, then Banya. What was your biggest doctrinal obstacle you needed to overcome before you felt solid in the walk?
Shalom again, my Yahshua. Here speaking. All right, so my biggest doctrine that I had to overcome was smoking, bro. There's so much doctrines out there that you can real life get lost in the sauce, man, and you know what I mean. And it was smoking. There's some camps out there that I watched before I even got into the truth 100%. Damn near 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it is, that was teaching you're able to smoke. So I had the understanding that me smoking and watching these breakdowns and watching these videos was cool, and I was not in sin. Um, they would defend it with scripture saying that don't add on to the law and stuff like that. And then it just I just never had like a clear understanding about doctrines when I would watch videos out there in the internet. But then watching SF Sakari and praying to the Most High to give me a reason to stop smoking. I was watching it was a live interaction that Brother Kashab here was teaching, talking to a sister, and then at the very end, he told that sister like, "Hey, put that blunt away." And then they kind of went into it through the spirit when I was watching. And then Kashab, like two of Kashab's homies, like one of like the lungs bust, and then there was another one that had to do with the throat. Yeah. So with that testimony, that was all I needed, bro. And then like that right there, bro. That was my testimony right there. That was Most High, like through spirit, like telling me that that's gonna happen to me. And then I just cold triggered from there, and then that's when I guess it was like the last thing I was missing was some zits, and I was sinless, bro.
No praises. Repeat the question one more time.
What was your biggest doctrinal obstacle you needed to overcome before you felt solid in the walk?
I want to say my biggest obstacle that I had to overcome. I mean, one of them was smoking. But I was smoking cigarettes and mostly like blacks.
Oh God.
Yeah, it is.
We listen and we judge you.
That's crazy. That's right. That's right. That was. I mean, yeah, we talking about Newport. Yeah. I'll do the hundreds and I'll do the shorts, but it had to be in the shorts too. But then I found out, the fiberglass. But I was going through a lot at that time. Like I had a lot of family members that was passing away, and that was really like my excuse. But that's no excuse to smoke a cigarette. Right. Being in the truth now. But for the most part, that was a little bit of one. And then the second one was like lying to my people. I'm from Vallejo, California, so I come from a place where, being in somebody's business or telling people something about you is a form of weakness. So it's like, telling somebody something that they don't need to know about you right then and there is good enough. But the Most High is not going to settle for, you lying to your brothers and sisters. You just being deceptive. Um, so, I mean, those I would say, would be like the most two for me. But as soon as pretty much, yeah, I got these fringes and I just want the best for my people going forward and really, myself as well. So that's really where I'm at with it.
Con. You see, so the next one is for Dakar and Idawan, man. Huh? No, this is just y'all, brother. Just y'all, brother. There's gonna be a couple of that are like that. All right, and give Dakar first, then Idawan. What should people who are looking to join an organization or camp look for before joining one?
So, what should people look for in an organization or a camp before joining one?
Yeah.
I would say it's not always what sounds the best would be the best decision, right? Especially for somebody new in the truth, because you're going to kind of go more towards, what feels right, even though you may be void of understanding. So it's a tricky one, man. You want to look at the character of men, right? That you're looking to prospect under, or raise you up in this truth. You want to look if they're exemplifying, the fruits of the spirit, right? If they're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. A big one, right? And what a warning, right, is you want to stay away from brothers who operate in what's called the gray area, right? So, um, and I've had to learn, what I'm saying myself, I've operated in the gray area, right? So I'm not special, you know what I mean? Um, and the Most High corrected me in a swift manner, right? And I give all praises. But when you're looking to join an organization, obviously keeping the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. Tighten it, what I'm saying? Organization that really bases the body off of family, right? Viewing each other as family, as brothers and sisters. Somebody get bro at the chat, Baba Gashaw. Right. Um, let's see. What else can I say? I mean, that's really it, man. The Most High, what I'm saying? The Most High is going to place you where he wants you to be anyways, right? So just making sure, brothers is genuine and, what I'm saying? Not yes men. That's another one. That's another big one. What I'm saying? Somebody who's going to tell you you're wrong, what I'm saying? When you're wrong and correct you. That's the biggest thing, I would say.
Could you repeat the question again, Bob? Sean?
What should people look for? What should people who are looking to join an organization or camp look for before joining one?
Okay, I'm probably gonna go a little different route. I'll definitely say a location, right? Because some brothers might be like 4 hours. I've seen brothers travel 4 hours just to go to camp. You know what I'm saying? I would say definitely take the distance into consideration because it might be burdensome for you later on, and it might affect how you're doing the work, right? Take distance into consideration. I would say like the closer would be the better, right? But I wouldn't just put it all on distance. I would say, like the brother said, judge the character of the people that you're going to be choosing to be under, right? Because coming into a camp, you're choosing to be under leadership that you deem fit, right? And you know, if that person is a stand-up person, a genuine person, somebody that you know that genuinely actually wants to serve the Most High and not have ulterior motives, right? Having, doing things for clout or for views or, lucre's sake, even, right? Um, One thing I like, for example, for the refiners, like, I like that we don't care, about who has the best breakdowns or who has the best uniforms or who has the best debates out there. Like, we're literally trying to help our people and make them prosper. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely think that's like something that you should take into consideration. The character of the men that you're going to be subject to. I would definitely say make sure you're ready as well, right? Because something that's already established is going to be going and be operating under the Most High, right? But a lot of people also could jump there, like the brothers over here are saying. Some of them took longer than others. Some of them took, like the brother said, a week, right? The other brother said 2 years, right? But some people jump into things too soon and not knowing what you're getting into. And this stuff is serious, right? This walk is serious. This truth is serious. And you know, like Sirach says, be prepared to be tempted when you come to serve the Lord, right? And just know there is a lot of temptation going on, unfortunately, on this, but you're gonna make it through, man. So that's what I would say before joining the main things before joining the camp. Get those situated first.
One thing I wanted to add, right? The brother Ilawan brought it to my attention, right? Counting the cost, right? You want to count the cost of what the organization is going to require from you, right? You want to count the cost of what, most importantly, what the Most High is going to require from you, right? And remember, is that you're not serving the camp, you're serving the Most High, right? But here in Deuteronomy 1 and 13, right? This is when Moses was asking for help, right? So Most High was going to give him help. And it says, Deuteronomy 1 and 13, take you wise men and understanding and known among your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you, right? So you want to see if the men that you are going to subject yourself to are wise men, right? Are they following the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Are they trying to get away with things, right? And operating in a questionable spirit. That's the last part.
All praises, man. And of course, the next one, my brother Kashak, my brother Gabar, man. So I got two back-to-back questions. All right.
All right.
First one is gonna be passed to Gabar, and then Kashak. So brother Gabar and brother Kashak. Like I said, and for the brothers who were tuned in late, how I was saying in the beginning, I want to make sure that brothers and sisters understand that we're no different than y'all, right? So I want to make sure that it's not just per se straightforward biblical questions, but it's questions around the Bible, just so you guys can see where everybody's head is at, and y'all can see maybe you're not so different than everybody else, right? So brother Gabar and Kashak, so many camps claim so-called UFOs are the chariots of God. Have you personally ever even seen one?
No.
It is random.
Personally, if I have seen one, thank you, brother. I don't know what it was. Keep it 1,000. I know it wasn't no airplane. So yeah, I guess you could. What they call it now? UPAs or something. What they call them? I forgot the government name. They changed the name. Something like that. Unidentified aircraft or something. Yeah, it's a new name for it, but UAPs or something. But anyways, I think I have. I'm gonna say that.
All right. So the next question, right? Again for Gabar and Kashak, what is the hardest thing about being in a camp that you think might be a stumbling block for others?
I would say probably the workload. Um, I wouldn't say that's a stumbling block for me, but there's a lot of brothers out there that are not used to doing a lot of work. And so when you put too much work on them or you give them too, too much to do, they fall. And that that ultimately like falls on them. But I feel like the expectations that we hold can be too much for some people. But I mean, you know, that all falls on the other person, how much they're willing to, you know, put their effort in or how badly do they want it. Because, somebody who wants it, they don't care about the work. They just care about completing it or meeting the expectation. And for some, that could be a stumbling block because they didn't come in with expectations, or at least that wasn't their expectations. So I would say, yeah, the workload, especially over here, because we got a lot of work going on. We got a lot behind the scenes. And I feel like for some people, that might just be too much for them, you know.
Repeat the question for me.
So it was, what is the hardest thing about being in a camp that you think might be a stumbling block for others?
Okay. That would probably be a lot of times people don't. All right. First of all, as a soldier, you're part of a body, an army on a body. You're one. So a lot of times people are not used to that, especially people that didn't play like a team sport or anything like that. So yeah, you've been told what to do. You're accountability. So you got to hold your position. A lot of times it becomes they're not used to it. They just never been in an organization where it's not just you. You part of a body. So if you're not operating, if the foot not operating right, how you gonna get around? Or how's the hand gonna operate if the fingers ain't operating right? How you gonna grip something? Or how everything else is gonna get done? So a lot of times people they're not used to that type of responsibility being put on them, that accountability that other people are actually counting on them.
I kind of want to add on.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like a stumbling block, right? And this just like from my experience and seeing other brothers, is that nobody, like, if you come into a camp, you got to know discernment biblically, right? Because I feel like a lot of people, like, they come into this camp thinking that it's going to be like all handy dandy, all nice and cool, and then sisters come in thinking that this is going to be all, they have this image in their head. And if you don't have biblical discernment, you might listen to the wrong person and they might lead you to then commit sin, go into a gray area, right? And right, it says in First Corinthians 8 and 9, the GNT says, "Don't let your freedom of action cause those who are weaker in faith to sin." A lot of brothers, and I don't know anyone specifically, but I know it just happens out there, right? Don't know, aren't in the right spirit, and might cause those to stumble real hard and hate the Hebrew Israelite community. And that's why you see all those videos like, I was in the Hebrew Israelite community, they're a cult, is because they had no discernment. And I feel like, for those watching, maybe if you decide on joining a camp, really meditate on the law, but really go into Proverbs and Sirach, read that back to back, different translations, and understand it, because you'll understand if a brother's moving biblically or if he's moving worldly, because they could be dressed like a real Hebrew Israelite, beard big and stuff like that, and they're just not in the right spirit. So that could be a big stumbling block. But
The next one, Kashak, if you could switch with Islawan. So Islawan, hop up on there with Gabar, man. Right, so I'll pass it to Islawan first and Gabar. The question is, what lifestyle changes that may not be sins do you think are wise for brothers and sisters to apply to their everyday lives?
That aren't sins that they should apply to their everyday lives. Right. Okay, this is a good one. Drinking. Drinking is not a sin, right? We see in the Bible that people consumed alcohol, right? But there are a lot of brothers that struggled with alcoholism, previously to the truth, right? I wouldn't say like that you'd be like, oh man, like, we're all drinking or something, right? And there might be a brother that struggled with that in his life, you know. So I wouldn't like, push like alcohol in their face and stuff and be like, oh, it's not a sin. It's not a sin, drink it, you know? Like that definitely, you said one or two.
That's fine. I mean, you can bring it up if you want.
Yeah, I'd definitely say like, stuff like drinking, if you're gonna drink alcohol, keep the laws of God and drink in moderation, man. Don't be out here um setting a bad face for the truth to where the people that are watching you, blaspheme the name of the Lord, or um, you know, that could like push away a lot of people, or set the wrong taste or the wrong tone, or you might be the only Hebrew Israelite somebody ever meets in their life, and if you're drunk, messy, going against the scriptures, not dwelling in discernment like the brother was saying, and wisdom, your spirit, your fruits show what a man is all about or what a sister is all about, man. you know so I'll definitely say, like, like taking substances like that, like alcohol and stuff like that. Most things aren't a sin, but doesn't mean that you should do it all day long. No, you know so yeah.
Kind of, I agree with the brother, and like he was saying, basically sums up First Corinthians 8 and 9 of GNT. Don't let your freedom of action cause those who are weaker in faith to sin. You might be the only Israelite they might see, and you're carrying yourself disgusting, and they're just like, I don't want to be a part of this. And now they're not going to listen to anything that you offer them, as advice or discernment. But to add on to him is be sober. Like, to be honest, like I haven't drank or I haven't done edibles or anything like that. We teach that, eating marijuana is not a sin, right? Because it's an herb, but I don't think that is beneficial. Really, it chasing a high, right? Drinking every weekend, that's not beneficial, man. That does nothing good for you. And applying that to your life, you get more in these scriptures, right? There's a brother um that goes by the name of Shalai. He put in his song. He says it's kind of hard to put God first when you a high nigga, right? So like when you constantly getting high, you chasing your lust, right? You chasing your desires, and I forget what scripture it was, but it said that Christ didn't even please himself, right? So to endure is you got to endure your lust of, you know, like for instance, me and my brother right here through spirit right here, we're dieting, right? The brother lost a lot of weight, all praise to the most high, brother's getting in shape, brother's motivating me, right? We done like stuff like that, on keto and stuff. And I feel like fasting is important. It's not a sin to eat, but it's also something that you should implement in your life, because when you fast, you crave your desires, but you're not doing it, right? You actually lock in the scriptures more. You think more clearly because you're running, off no food, no water, right? So I feel like, you know, um, being sober and fasting is like something that I would recommend brothers and sisters to be doing, right? It just like the brother says, lock in, bro. Like, you know, stop chasing your lust, bro. Getting high and getting drunk is a lust. Like, anything that you put over the most high is a lust. Your video games, whatever it is, your TV shows, man, you know, it's not a sin to eat, but fast. Like, get that clarity once a week. Start off once a week. If you're not used to fasting and you're a foodie, try intermittent fasting. Try periods of time to go into a full day. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what I recommend.
So next one is for Mayashawar and Ara. And for the brother who asked in the chat about the Romans verse, ask us when we're in the camp right after this, and I'll make sure to answer your question, brother. So Mayashawar and Ara, I'll pass it to Mayashawar first, right? Brother Mayashawar, what was the religion that you followed before? Mormon and Seventh-day Adventist, right? So Mayashawar and Ara, name one thing of religions today that you find is crazy that people practicing don't even notice is not biblical whatsoever.
This one's easy. The description of Christ.
Description of Christ.
Yeah, the description of Christ. That thing is wild. Praying to idols. That thing is wild. You know what I mean? A lot of our people, bro, real life, get on the knees and praise to idols. I see that thing everywhere, and they're gonna lie to you in your face and be like, "I don't do that," but surrounded in their houses, in their churches, it's on their necks. That right there is crazy.
Okay, can you reiterate that question, Baba?
The question again, it says, name one thing of religions today that you find is crazy that people practicing don't even notice it's not biblical whatsoever.
This it has to be a sin, you said, or just
No,
something?
it's just something that they do that's not even in the Bible.
I'd say being hella extra lovey-dovey. I ain't gonna lie. That's one thing for sure. It's like, okay, yeah, of course, you know, you gotta treat people how you want to be treated and everything, but ultimately when you read what you know, Ecclesiastes 3, it's a time for everything. You know, of course, you gotta, you know, be nice and kind with your people, but ultimately, like, you can't just be lovey and dovey all the time about things, bro. If it says that there's a time for love and a time for hate, a time for peace and a time for war, you got to know the proper discernment of when it's time to get into this, when it's time to get into that mode. You feel me? Like, um, you know, like for example, somebody when we outside teaching up on the street, somebody come at us crazy. Obviously, I'm not just gonna be there like, oh, like no man, like chill. No, you feel me? I'm a grown man too. You feel me? We gonna talk like man. We gonna get into this,
To add
man.
on to that, Ezekiel says, I'm gonna make your head hard as their head.
Exactly. Like how is iron supposed to sharpen iron if you just gonna let your sword get dull? You feel me? You gonna let the other sword keep chopping you down, keep chopping your sword, and when you supposed to be sharpening your sword as well, man. You feel me? Like you gotta learn the proper discernment of when it comes to time for like being peaceful or hard with people. You feel me? Yeah.
So y'all again, right? And how it says some of these questions is left field, just to see where your brother's heads is at, right? With the memes and reels going on around that time, let's say for example, Kodak, Gucci, my brother Jim Carrey right now. Do y'all believe celebrity clones is real?
Okay.
The car,
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I for sure do think that they real, bro. I'm like straight up. I feel like they could uh for sure take like some sort of your DNA, especially when you go to jail, right? I mean, who knows what they gonna do to you behind them bars, but they could take a little sample of you, whatever, bro. It could be any type of thing. I think that they could for sure make a clone out of people, bro.
Yeah.
Like just how people come out acting different and just being different, have some different things. Like for example, bro, like Kanye, he said that if he come back and he start being like more peaceful, I guess, you know, paraphrasing when he said that. Like, just know that they cloned me. And then all of a sudden Kanye started being hella different. And then they found like this bum looking brother out in the street somewhere, and it was like a split image of Kanye West, bro. So I mean, I don't know. That's
What
just
do you
it.
think, Samantha?
As far as like DNA cloning someone, like a human being, I would say no, but the sense of replacing a person with another person who looks, talks like them, and you know what I mean. I would say 100% yes. You know, I, I would think, or I would say that a lot of high-powered people do that to this day. You know what I mean?
Right.
No matter what government of people you are in, or just in general, if you're a high-valued person, I would think that they set you up if, like for example, I like conspiracy, like Saddam Hussein, that dude, like they said that he actually didn't die. You know what I mean? Like why would they throw him in the ocean and not even like have 100% proof that he's actually in the ocean right now or whatever? But going on about the cloning and things, side note, like I was in San Diego Zoo, and supposedly they cloned a donkey, I think it was, and the donkey's actually living. It's just like dumb from my understanding. So yeah, like it's just no emotions, no nothing. So as far as that, from what I heard from the zookeeper or whatever, that's real. But as far as taking someone and DNA, I'll say no. But as far as replacing somebody with somebody, yeah, yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. I never thought about it like that.
Next question is Yatazak and Banya. Con. So Yatazak and Banya. Pass it to Yatazak first and Banya after. How do you two cope with the fact that your family sees you as extremists?
How do we cope? Honestly, I just ignore it. I don't. I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I mean, they agree with some of the things, so it's like, you know, I'm not mad at it at all. Friends, family, yeah.
Go ahead,
Repeat the question again.
How do you cope with the fact that your family sees you as extremists?
Let's see. How do I cope with my family seeing me as an extremist? I mean, of course, I would want my family to, of course, be, a real Christian, like a real follower of Christ, keeping these laws and understanding that there's power in like really truly loving, you know, one another. You know, I mean, honestly, yeah, like I don't really pay attention to it so much, like, little arguments or whatever. You can kind of tell um, when feelings are involved, so to speak, like they're speaking with, different um, high levels of frustration.
Put the
Some,
mic a little closer to you so I can barely hear you.
something might not be going, the way that they want it to go. So, um, yeah, like I said, I don't really pay attention to it. I just mostly just keep to myself, really. And if I'm spoken to, answer really the question, really, and that's it.
Okay, con. So the next one is for the brother Dakar and Kashak, man.
Yeah.
Look at the wolf pack here, huh? Brother Dakar first, then Kashak. And there's a two-part question. Of course, you got a left field question right after, right? So Dakar and Kashak, what video, if any, resonated with you the most in your early walk that made things click for you?
To be honest with you, I was watching way too many videos. Well, I wasn't watching way too many videos. I was watching a lot of videos, but I don't know. Really listening to WFI and the brother Naquam really lit a fire under me to get in this and start pushing this truth and get in this walk and get out the camp. No particular video in general, but I would say when I was watching his videos, I would say that was probably the fire that lit.
For me, I was watching videos like every day, all day. So, the most I probably would say, in the early years, it'd probably be like in 2016 when I first started. It was probably, I think it had Chief Alazar when he was in the park or something in regular clothes. I think he was by himself. Matter of fact, I don't even think he had nobody with him. And that was like one of the first videos that I watched. And I'm thinking, matter of fact, it might have been him and somebody else. And they was in regular clothes. And they didn't have camp gear on. They had these Zeets and stuff like that. But other than that, that's about as far as I can remember. That's no particular video, just like the car said.
So the next left field question, right? I'll pass it to Kashak first, then Dakar. Here. Is the earth flat, brother?
Oh my God. That's a crazy topic because yeah, we was talking about it. So with that being said, I mean, I remember I talked to Deacon about it one time. We were sitting there, and I really can't say. I don't know. He was just like, "There's so much other stuff to worry about. Well, who cares if it's flat?" I was like, "You right." So, um, I don't have an airplane or nothing. I don't know. I mean, other than I know I'm on here. I know I ain't fell off. So, no, it's nothing really I can say. I mean, that's one of them things that we talk about in the community. With a few other things. I don't know. Here you go, brother.
Thank you. I don't believe that the earth is flat because we have hills and mountains, right? But I do believe we're on some sort of plane, right? I don't believe the earth is a globe spinning around the sun um, thousands of miles an hour. Because if I took a ball, right, and I put some paint on it and I spun it real fast, right, things would start flying off of it, right? So not really too scientific here, but I don't believe that the Earth is a globe. I do believe it's that we're on a form of a plane inside of a terrarium.
Okay. So next one is Arad and Ilawan, man. Arad first, and then Ilawan, man. So Arad, if you could go back to the high school you, what sentence, right? What sentence would you say to yourself to Lord willing get you in this walk sooner?
Ooh. What would I tell myself?
One sentence.
Shit. Oh man, God. I'll be like, damn, that's crazy. I probably would just go back and be like, hey, little bruh, like, hey, little bro, you doing what you doing, you feel me? You having fun, all this and that, bro. But you gotta, look a little bit more into that Bible that you be hearing at church, man, because it's not just what it is, that's what they be saying. Do a little bit more studying for yourself and understand that you're Issachar, man, from Israelite tribe of Issachar, through the Ottomis. Go check that out. Go study the Bible a little bit more and stop game banging.
I probably look at myself and be like, bro, what are you doing? Walk in. What are you doing? Nah, I probably for real, I probably talk to myself and tell him like, you should basically the keys to life isn't in the church, but it is in the Bible. Read Deuteronomy 28. Yeah, that's one sentence I would say.
Because I have a job on here, there is a question that I have for both of y'all, right? And again, it's a left field question, right? So for both of y'all, man. And I got my opinion on it because it's really what got me into this whole thing. Is the Illuminati real, man?
See, I used to really get into that topic a lot when I was younger, starting to see all the conspiracy theories, start to learn about them. I want to say that this would show like a hierarchy amongst like the government, like I don't even, like we all know the president ain't even the top dog, you feel me? It's somebody above him. What can I really sit here and pinpoint and say like it's the Illuminati? I can't necessarily say that. I haven't even looked into the Illuminati in so long that I damn near even forgot what they really about. But I do think that there's a hierarchy in this government system. Uh, they for sure worship Baal and Molech. That's what that goes without a say. But But yeah, I just think it's just a hierarchy that tries to push matters of life to separate you from really understanding God and going to God. That's all I could really say about that matter. Keep it bug.
What was the question?
Is the Illuminati real?
Uh, for that title, Illuminati, for a colloquial term, for people to understand, I would say yes. I probably wouldn't call it the Illuminati. I don't even think they call it that. But for the norm, just like a general concept, I would say yes, they're real. You know, there's a specific group of elites that I think that none of us really know who they are. Like even like everybody heard about like the Rothschilds and like the rich like small hat community people that are pulling the strings. I definitely think there's even a higher people above that we don't know, and they're just tossing these people under the bus type stuff. You know, I do think they all work together. You know, but yeah, I believe there's something like that to those terms, like Illuminati. I definitely think that's like a real thing. We see that in celebrities, you know, like athletes, you know, doesn't matter, even politicians, lawyers, doctors, all these people, the people in high places, you know, I definitely think they're all like in cahoots doing stuff like that, you know, Epstein Island, you know, all that. So yeah, I do think that's real.
Ultimately, it's the small hats.
If you could switch with Dakar for you, for my brother Dakar and I, Lawan, man. I'll pass it to you first, Dakar. Right. So, what would you tell someone who is just now starting their journey in being a practicing Israelite to stay away from doctrinal wise?
What would I tell somebody just starting out to stay away from doctrinal wise? Stay away from the grape doctrine. Right. Right. Stay away from people who tell you you can sleep with prostitutes. Right. Stay away from people who say you could dip the tip and it's not consummation. Right. Right. We getting, you know what I'm saying? It's a off the wall. I gotta be, you know, clear cut and dry. You know what I'm saying? What's some other things? Let's see one more. I'll come back.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm not even trying to be too controversial or name anything like too crazy, bro. But but that I blanket statement it, man. Stay away from people that are teaching you to it's okay to be in the gray areas. Honestly, you know, the whole it's not against the law thing. That could lead a lot of people away from being the sheep, you know, and even though some things are true, you know, you could be doing more harm than you are good with your own intentions. So definitely stay away from that. Uh Stay away from the Yu-Gi-Ohs, the Yahoos, and the you know, the Yehudis and all that. I'll stay away from that, man. The Yaos. Yeah. The Yisraelites, right? um Definitely also stay away from camps. I'm not gonna say a specific name. Stay away from any camp that says we got the 100% truth and we are the only ones that are ordained to teach this truth, right?
Yeah. So
That's a
for-
cult.
For YouTube again, right? But now on the flip side, right? So, what doctrine do you think people should look for when coming into the truth that would be most beneficial, right? Not just simple, to someone who is sincerely looking to be of the elect? What doctrine should people be looking for to put first and foremost before everything?
Keeping Yahweh's laws, man. All right. Keeping Yahweh's laws, follow, all right. Revelation 22:14, right? Because faith is a part of we understand that faith is a part of the law, right? So keeping the commandments and keeping the faith will be my go-to.
Also, I just remembered a few from the last question. Stay away from the ones that said Israel's in America. Stay all right. This is the promised land. Stay away from that. This place is going to be destroyed, thus saith the Lord. What else? Those that only read the Old Testament. Mashiach, Yahweh Shai is the King and our Savior, man. Repent, man. Right. But those that are gonna be hopeful elect, right, what doctrine to stay on. I love all my brothers, and I would suggest any brothers that are teaching in sincerity to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and that to strive to be a good servant unto Christ. Right. Those two, I could get down with every camp, and I love every camp that's pushing that, man. Right. I would say like those two doctrines right there are essentially the faith and the works that are mentioned by Yahweh Shai that are going to be able to give us access to enter in through the gates, aka the kingdom of heaven.
Let's see, where was it at? Either if you could switch with Kashak real quick. So Kashak and Dakar. Kashak, I'll pass it to you first, right? Is there an aspect of Christ that you think gets missed or overlooked by Israelites that can be detrimental to them?
An aspect of Christ that we overlook that could be detrimental. That could be detrimental. An aspect of Christ. Yeah, that's kind of hard because the dude's perfect.
I'm saying, like for example, is there any attributes of his that people don't even focus on?
Don't focus on. Got you. I wouldn't say detrimental, but it's some things where we carry in our life where that Jesus had done that we don't even think about in our everyday life. For instance, we talked about that earlier, Gabor, where he didn't own any land or no residence, and then he was walking, teaching his people, and for us, we trip off the smallest things. Like, of course, it was a different time, but even if you got people, if you took us back then, we'd be like, man, I'm not walking nowhere. I'm not. Who is these 12 dudes following me? Or, I ain't got no house. Or, we worried about materialistic things a lot of times when Yahweh Shai he didn't even have none of that. We kind of forget that. And he had a following. So he did a lot of things with the minimum of things that he had. It's not like he had a chariot. He could have got a chariot for probably the Romans or something. He probably been riding around on a horse and a chariot. Not saying he didn't, but for the most part, he's probably just walking around. And we take things for lightly that, oh man, I couldn't make it to camp today because my car broke down. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't teach because of this, or I couldn't teach when Yahweh Shai, he was under Roman prosecutions, soldiers walking around with knives, his own people against him. He had so many negative things coming from each side that a lot of times we get one little obstacle and we lay down. We be like, man, I can't even do that. But Yahweh Shai was going through a lot of different things at that time, dealing with government, probably his own family too. Just like we deal with, his cousins. We don't talk about it in the Bible, but I'm assuming that, maybe his cousin was like, man, the other cousin, like, your cousin crazy, man. He just walking around the desert, just talking to people and stuff, you know. So probably that, you know, that we take things for granted that Yahweh Shai had, Jesus Christ had, that we take for granted that we got full resources. We got full running water. We got laptops, cell phones, Wi-Fi, flying contraptions, and horses carriages and stuff like that that he didn't have, and we still have excuses. So I'll probably say that's one of the things that detrimental to us, that we take things lightly and we shouldn't.
Repeat the question, Bogusa. Let me see. What was that at?
Is there an aspect of Christ that you think gets missed or overlooked by Israelites that can be detrimental?
Yeah, the number one aspect that gets overlooked is loving your brother no matter what, right? Judas sat at the table with Christ and he knew that he was going to betray him, but still loved him, right? When he got hung on the cross by his own people, he begged and prayed to the Father, right? He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He understood that his brothers and sisters were blind for crucifying him. Obviously, it was prophecy, but you know, that mercy that Christ had, you know, with brothers and sisters, ignorance, more so the brothers that are in the story, right? Judas and the people who hung him. You know, he had a unmeasurable amount of mercy, right, and love for his people, and that's something that gets easily overlooked in this walk and in this community, you know. So that would be my answer.
So next one is going to be for everybody, right? Let's see. Question for everybody, right? Of course, it's a hypothetical. So let's say you get booted out of the refiners and starting your own camp is not an option. What camp can we expect to see you at the following week trying to prospect for, and why?
What camp? Hmm.
I know where I'm going.
You know? Oh man. What camp do I see myself being in, man? Look, man, I'm gonna keep it real, man. And I'm gonna just keep it sweet without overthinking it, man. If I'm not gonna be in the refiners, I'll probably be in Sakari.
If I weren't to be in the refiners, there's one or two camps. I'd either be in the House of Bread, right, or be with the Saints in Philly.
That's a good question. Well, yeah. Shout out to Brother Ariala. I'll definitely go towards the House of Bread. They hold brothers pretty accountable over there. Another one, probably, yeah. I'll probably go to the House of Bread for sure.
Is it just here? Because I live in the Bay. Listen, brother, you gave your answer. I'm looking here in the Bay, man.
All right, man. Just to keep it a buck.
I changed my answer.
Just to be real, bro. I wouldn't join no other camp, bro. I still keep pushing the work, you know, in the ways that I could, but I couldn't see myself joining another camp. Yeah, and that's really my answer, just to be real.
I could have said that.
I could have said that.
God, yeah, I don't know which camp, honestly. I can't. I don't see myself with another camp. Yeah, I don't see myself.
I can tell y'all don't love these brothers, but I'll probably start. I was Witness Bay Area, man. Shout out to them brothers, man. I love them brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? For sure, you know, I fuck with That's 100. Oh, man. Physical exercise profited nothing, brothers. You know what I'm saying? Nah, but I love them brothers out there, man. I'll probably do House Witness over here, and maybe House of Bread. I don't know. I'll probably lean towards House Witness, to be honest. But yeah.
If I got kicked out the refiners, bro, it's probably super bad. Keep it real. I love it over here, bro. We have good relationships with other camps, so it wouldn't even sit right with me to join another camp on whatever actions cause me to get kicked out, bro. That's something serious. So what I'll do is ask for some flyers and just start passing that out, man. And just do my own thing, and when it's right, reach out to different brothers who have the same doctrinal belief and try to start off something new or just keep pushing.
Yeah, if I had to choose, if I got kicked out, I had to choose another camp. I'd probably go with like Masada or Masada or my folks, Jacob's Ladder. You know what I'm talking about? SoCal, Hollywood. Yep. So either them, Masada or Jacob's Ladder. I gotta give them both a shout out. All right. Oh, hold on, you change it.
You know what I'm saying? I was just thinking in my own city, but what's it called? If it's that broad, man, shout out to the brothers at Jacob's Lantern, and I'll probably be a bloodline, man. Shout out to Zealots, man.
Yes, sir. Bloodline. Listen, look at these guys, man. Just real quick. I love the things that my brothers as servants of Yahweh is doing. Can't ever stop giving you brothers your props with what you guys are doing out there. I'd be starting it right here, brother. That's right here, man. So let me see. This is from my brother Yatazak and Banya, man. You brothers could pull up real quick. My brother Yatazak and Banya. The reason, of course, why I'm going to ask you guys, this is going to be very obvious with the question. So let's say the KJV does not exist. What translations are your personal go-tos, and which ones would you tell brothers to stay away from?
Let me get that question one more time.
So let's say the KJV does not exist. What translations are your personal go-tos, and which ones should people stay away from?
I mean, I'm gonna go to the question in reverse. I mean, the ones not to go to. I mean, some translations hit differently. I would say, what's one? It's like what's like an American Standard Bible or something like that. It kind of reads a little off. My go-tos is like the NLT. I kind of love the AMP. I'm kind of starting to dig the NIV in certain translations. But my mains, if the KJV didn't exist, I'm definitely flipping in between three, which is the NIV, the NLT, and then the AMP. And those are my ones.
I would say, let me start off the ones that I pretty much like. The CEV, the Amplified is pretty cool. The NLT and the GNT. But here's the thing with the NLT and the GNT. Sometimes there's verses where they'll actually work against Hebrew Israelites in those two translations. So there's good ones and there's bad ones with the NLT and the GNT. You can get cut using those two. So yeah, pretty much that's it.
All right, so you two again, right? So this one right here, Yatazak and Banya. What one piece of advice do you have for our single sisters in this walk to pick the right husbands? Example, find a man like this, stay away from a man like that.
What advice would I give? For my sisters, I would say find a man that wants to read with you. Find a man that that loves God and he has standards about the things because the Most High God gives us standards, gives you the idea that he's following God and he's keeping his foot down about reading and in the direction in which listening to the direction in which where he's going. That's what I would say. And yeah.
I would say, yeah, like a good one for sure is finding a man that wants to read with you, read to you, read with you. Um, I just had another one in mind.
Ooh, even if it's two, yeah, that's cold. Yeah,
Um,
sure.
the second one slipped my mind right now. Jeez, it was a good one too. No, it was, bro. Because I was trying to listen to him too, though, so I don't repeat what he says. Um, God, bro. Oh, a man that's also gonna have patience. Because a guy who's short fuse and doesn't have the patience, trust me, it's gonna end real quick.
Uh,
So that's one of the key ones I would say. Patience and obviously find a man that loves himself, because if he loves himself, he's gonna love you too. Pretty much, yeah. That's what I got. All right, fine.
So Banyan, Yatazak, I'll pass it to Banyan first. Let's say that you hated the camp aspect of this walk and you would never ever join a camp for whatever reason, and you were struggling to maintain faith in this walk. What advice would you give that man or woman to stay firm and be able to stay afloat in this walk?
mm, um, I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm not even really negative like that. Um, I would, man. Let's see. It's lock you. Um, I honestly, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know how to answer that. I wouldn't. I don't even know.
Repeat it one more time.
So
There's
let's
a
say you
lot.
hated the camp aspect of this walk, right? And you would
Okay.
never ever join a camp for whatever reason,
Okay.
but you were struggling with maintaining faith in this walk. What advice would you give that man or woman to stay firm and be able to stay afloat in this walk?
I would say at least find somebody, a person, whether it be, you know, a man or a woman that's gonna um that keeps you like I would say like lifted all the time. Um Either calling to check up on you or uh ask that person to send me some videos because of I'm going through this right now. I would also say too, um when you're in this walk, I'm not gonna say find, but when you find a video and you love it so much, save that video so that you can go back to it, and because I do this from time to time, and it'll kick you back up in a gear. That's pretty much what I got.
Okay. So Iloan and Kashak, man. Iloan and Kashak, man. Hopefully y'all brothers is enjoying the video, man. Go back and watch it again, Lord willing. This helps y'all, man. Iloan and Kashak, I'll pass it to Iloan first. How much of a difference did it make to you learning that Christ was black when you first came into this walk? And does it still hold that much weight for you today?
Through the spirit, we were just talking about this at camp yesterday to some Christians. Um, that was definitely something that repeat the question.
How much of a difference did it make to you learning that Christ was black when you first came into this walk? And does it still hold that much weight for you today?
It made a big difference because, like I said, I grew up Catholic. I had Caesar Borgia over my head every night when I went to sleep. I had statues in my house. You know what I'm saying? Idols, all that. It made a big difference because everywhere I looked in my house, I saw white baby angels, white Mary, white Jesus, white apostles. You know, so for me to find out the truth that Yahweh is a so-called black man, you know, that trickle down to see what else did these people that colonized my people and gave us this religion, you know, what else did they lie about with the Bible? And I still think to this day it matters, you know. Book of John says that we have to believe in him as the scripture saith, right? And that the truth shall set us free. And the scriptures and the truth says that Yahweh Shai is not a white man, you know. And I'm gonna keep pushing what Yahweh Shai said, man, and what the Bible says.
Repeat the question. How much of a difference did it make to you learning that Christ was black when you first came into this walk, and does it still hold that much weight for you today?
Yeah, it still holds weight for me today, but there's a major difference because in back in my mind, I knew Jesus wasn't a white guy, but you know, when you start reading, getting more into your scriptures, it confirms that he wasn't just a white guy; he was actually a black man. Um, at least it made me start thinking like, why would they switch it up? You know, and make you start thinking outside the box. Like, why would you change it? Is there a reason? Of course, you know it's a reason, psychological. Um, but me knowing that now, it's a good thing, you know, because it's a good thing. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. Dealing with it today, it does help you subconsciously think about things that are on another light. You know, knowing that Jesus is like got the same melanin just like you. And that's pretty much all I got to say.
All right, Luke, Gabar, if you could switch with Ilawan, Baba Kashak. And I'm gonna pass it to Kashak first and then Gabar, right? So, in reference to that last question I asked brothers about finding a husband, but in that same regard, what about for our brothers? Is there any advice you would give the men in trying to find the right wife?
Okay. Um Try to find the right wife. I mean, it's always best. That's why we say it's always best to court somebody and get to know them. Um, so in time, what happens is we're not taking the time. So as long as you take the time, then you'll be able. If you're not rush. If you take the time and look for the right wife, you'll be okay. But that's our problem. Sometimes we move too fast, and sometimes we just gotta sit back. Plus, it's best that you do that because you never know. You know, it's like I hate to use this analogy, but the 2025 came out, you know, SRT. The next, you know, they got the Hellcat 2026. And now you done messed up because you didn't, you could have had the SRT, but no, because you want to rush so fast and get a wife, which is fine. It's cool. But you could have had it better. Just a little patience. Yes, correct. Just a little patience. That's all it really. So dealing with finding a wife is patience. And not necessarily you have to look for somebody that's in the truth, because just like at one point I wasn't in the truth, and I learned and for the young lady or whoever it might, you know, the young lady, she'll learn. You know, hopefully she's want to do the things that you want to do, and then build from there. Just build. Don't think you like just all of a sudden add water and then boom, you got it. You know, so patience.
Time and turn your horny off, right? When you rush right into it and all you use like, man, this lady's fine, whatever. You having all these thoughts and stuff, you know, all your judgment gets thrown away. You know what I'm saying? So time, 6 months ain't enough. A year is like cool, but really like test the waters. Like, you know, you can only keep a facade up for so long. You know, she trying to act like she listens and she's well this, and then dude's trying to act like I'm very organized, and then boom, after a couple months, bro's getting into his habits of being lazy, and then she, "Oh, I can't keep this up no more." That's when you really see it. So you gotta, you know what I'm saying, you gotta yeah, you know, just test it out. I guess go out a lot, test the waters and then let it die down a bit. And then when she's like, why are we not going that way? And there you go, you see it, you know what I'm saying? Or don't go out for a while and then she's like, why you not taking me out? You know, it's you ultimately want a woman that at least understands what you're saying, right? Because Sirach 25 says, I found three beautiful things in men. Says the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, and a man and wife that agree. So you need a woman that's gonna agree with you, you know, even if like she doesn't at first, but she's still gonna hear you out. You know, that's important. So you gotta like, it's time, dude. Don't rush nothing. Time, and she has to see you mad, and you have to see her mad. Because if you can't handle her mad and she can't handle you mad, it's never gonna work out. You know what I'm saying?
So next question for both of y'all again, right? What is something that you wish people took more serious in this walk?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I think some people don't take their mindset serious. Like, you know, you could you come in this walk and you're still the same person with a couple beautiful band-aids on it. No, you need to come back different because, you know, coming into this walk, I didn't know discernment. I feel like one of the main things you come into this walk, right, is having faith is keeping those laws. So just keep the laws, bro. Just if you hear do this law, just keep it. Don't even question it. Just keep the law, right? Read it and keep it, but focus on discernment. Because if you come into this walk and then somebody tells you something and you don't know how to balance it out, you know, whether it's good or bad, you're gonna fall. And a lot of people don't take discernment serious. Like they think that I got this discernment from the world. I'm gonna bring it into this truth, and I'm gonna figure out what I want, you know. And I feel like people don't take what is provided to them seriously. Just like our forefathers and our fathers back then. In Psalms 79, it says that they were disobedient. It says hopefully that the new generation isn't as disobedient as our fathers were. And I feel like because they didn't appreciate and they didn't take advantage in a good way of what they were given. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that I feel like, yeah, that a lot of our people are not taking serious, right, is the discernment. Like that's like literally the key to you know understand what is what, you know. But
Question one more time.
What is something you wish people took more serious in this walk?
Took more serious. Uh, um, that's a good question. I was thinking while he was talking, but man, to take much more seriously in this walk. I could basically, mm, uh, it's really hard to say. I want to say that. Oh man, that's a good question. I want to say that we don't take people. I've seen it where not me personally, but I've seen where other brothers like somebody's actually like that's not in this walk, and somebody came and approached us, and you can tell that they want to be edified, but a lot of times we don't take it that serious, and we like brush it off. Sometimes I've seen it, and we really like sometimes you really don't know what's going on in other people's lives. Even let's say even if you know them, you like, oh, you living good, you doing this, and you got all these businesses and everything. You might not actually know the person. Let's say it's somebody that you actually know, and they come to you. Sometimes we don't take them that serious, and a lot of times they might be ready to photo walk, and we don't take them that serious. We just brush it off like he just asked me another question that he did last week. Because a lot of times we get so tired of being beat up about being on the walk that when somebody actually talks to us, we get defensive. And sometimes they really just have an open heart and they really want to just know what's going on. And sometimes we're not really that serious about understanding what's going on in their life to help them so they can get on the walk like we are ourselves right now. So I would probably say that we should take people that are not on this walk, you have to take them as serious. And even though if they giggles, I don't know push-ups. So even if you just giggling and you think it's funny, but a lot of times people do that as a defense mechanism because they don't know how to talk. So they'll be all laughing and everything, but they're really serious. So sometimes you have to be serious with them and find out really what's going on with your brother or your sister.
I want to add on to that, 'cause this is like a question that you just can't give a simple answer. And he brought up such a beautiful point. That's true. And I feel like two things I'm going to add to this to take serious is patience, right? We don't have a lot of patience, and that lack of patience, you don't gain knowledge and you lose people, right? You like for your marriages, don't have patience for one another. Now you're all ignoring each other, and she's not doing what she's supposed to do, and you're most definitely not doing what you're supposed to do, and you guys are not being patient. And patience goes hand in hand with faith, because if you don't have patience, you don't have faith. Like simple, like James in the first chapter of James literally says, let patience have its perfect work. Like, so you have to be patient, take patience seriously. And another thing that I feel like is very important that is preached to the Old and New Testament is loving your brother, loving your neighbor. Like that, nobody takes, really a lot of people don't take that seriously. I'm gonna keep it real with you. Everybody's talking to their brothers, talking to them, talking them down, and really not showing love and not taking that love serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like like, you know what I'm saying? Like Christ preached that if you're gonna come and do your sacrifice and you're not at, you know, well with your brother, drop your sacrifice off here and go get well with your brother, and then come back and then do your sacrifice. And people like just skip over that. And then now you got beef with that brother because of a simple doctrine or a simple that, and then now you just don't like what he's saying. So it's like F that man. And man, he's a now you're slandering his name. And it's like that love is really not there. And people don't take that seriously. Everybody's just like this. I love that brother. Yeah, I have nothing and then your actions speak differently. So I feel like that love, right, patience and discernment, people don't take serious.
That's a great answers, brothers. All right, so for Ilawan and Dakar, man, we have 3 questions left after this. So for my officers, man, brother Dakar, let's say if you had the ability to have one question answered by the Most High, what question would you ask him?
When's the kingdom coming, man? No, yeah, I'll just stick with that one question.
Dang. Is it just a question?
Yeah, that you would get the answer for.
I can get the answer for. Dang, that's like having one lifetime of questions answered on one question. Uh, mm, Dude, that's a hard question for me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Just one question. I'd probably say, what what uh what am I doing? What am I doing right now that's preventing me from being sealed?
That's a great answer, bro.
Yeah.
That's a great answer right there.
All praises.
Kashak, if you could sit right there for your boy, and I'm only asking y'all because y'all the oldest ones here, right?
I ain't gonna lie, my question was a little generic. But
You gonna,
nah.
that was a beautiful answer. I ain't gonna lie, man. Beautiful question, I should say. So Dakar and Kashak, I'll pass it to Dakar first. As you grow older, what's something you're realizing that was not important to you as a young man that you cherish at this moment?
So as I grow older, you really start to see and appreciate the beauty of life, man. You know what I mean? You really start to appreciate, the people that are in your lives, the time with family, right? The time worshiping and serving God. the importance, you know what I mean? Because one thing that really got me when I was a kid, like, you'd be going to church and stuff, and you see all these people in the church and, catching the Holy Spirit and falling out. And, you know what I mean? Like, that's what you think serving God is like. But when you truly serve God, you understand that it's like, it's not anything like that. It's even better. You know what I mean? And, um, I was always conflicted because, people would say that they had the Holy Spirit. And in my mind, I'm like, dang, like, what do I gotta do to like get the Holy Spirit, right? But who would have known that all you gotta do is keep the commandments of God, and if God has it in His will to have you receive the Holy Spirit, which is given to those who obey Him, right? Um, then He would open up your eyes to be alive. You know what I'm saying, and not be the walking dead out here.
As you grow older, what's something you're realizing was not important to you as a young man that you cherish at this moment?
Okay, that would be time. Um, when you're younger, then you got all the time in the world. You know, as you get older, you start prioritizing your time, what's important, what's not important. You start looking at things that, when you're young, you thought it was important, but it really wasn't. It's just a waste of your time, you know. And time is valuable. As you get older, you start realizing, people start leaving, you know, all type of different ways. Heart attacks, gunshots, whatever it might be. See doing it, whatever they want to do, they end up leaving and not being here anymore. And so you like, dang, I can, when you're young, you don't think nothing about it. You like, man, dude got shot last week, man, everybody get died, everybody died, B. So that's when you start thinking like that. But when you older, you like, man, let me start spending time with this person, or let me go the extra mile, or you never know, it might be the last time you see that person. So time, I would say, is something I took for granted as younger, and now I try to maximize it as much as I can.
So you could. Oh yeah, let me pass it. I could at least hear it, but y'all can stay right there. Now this is the last question for everybody, right? For everybody. So we'll pass it around for everybody after. If you had one last sentence to your daughter or your son, what would it be?
Serve God. Keep the commandments.
That's easy, but you just say, you ain't got that. I would have to say that's a hard question. I mean, because there's so much things you want to say, but you got to generalize it. So I would probably just say, put the Most High first. Put the Most High first.
Shalom. Joshua here again. If my last words to my kids, bro, would be that as much as I love you, the Most High loves you, infinity. And just serve the Most High, man, and keep to His words and keep to the books, and may the Most High, you know what I mean, let you be successful and saved, man.
What's the scenario that's happening? Am I on my deathbed? Am I hanging off the cliff? Is everything that all matters, or is my just gonna disappear? I'm on my deathbed. Sentence is not enough. So says a man, a few words, right? If it was my man, he's only a year and a half. Let's say he's 15, right? Let's say he's 15. By then he would know what I'm doing, and he would be following the commandments. So I'll tell him to continue what I'm doing, and you'll understand why, right? Straightforward.
I would say fear God and keep the commandments, pretty much.
I probably would just tell my boy, or whatever the case may be, I'd just be like, look, man, like, just do better than me. continue serving Yahweh and just call wa ta'wada, Yahweh Basham Mashiach Yahushai, and just leave it at that.
Con. Repeat the question one more time.
If you had one last sentence to your daughter or son,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be?
I would say, yeah, to keep the commandments of the Most High God. There's an example in 1 Kings, chapter 2 and verse 2, where when David was on his deathbed, it was he's talking about showing thyself to be a man and to keep the commandments of the Lord. So I would tell my son or my daughter to follow God, put God first, and keep the commandments of the Most High God, because it gives you life. And I want you to live, and I want you to be prosperous, and I want you to do right. And the right way to go is to fear God, to love Him, and keep His commandments.
I want to add a little bit to my answer, if I may. One thing I would share, right, on top of fearing God and keeping the commandments, is I would share with them is nobody's gonna love you more than God, so you better not love anybody else more than God.
Repeat the question one more time, Baba Shah.
If you had one last sentence to your daughter or your son, what would it be?
Deathbed, I'd probably say, look, I know this is about to be hard. I don't want you to cry. I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to be worried. I loved you with everything that I had. And if you love me, when I'm gone, you're gonna follow Yahweh. Yeah.
Change my
Gotta add a whole nother. Yeah. I mean, I would just say, right, and I had to write it down because I was thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I don't even know what I would say. So I would say, well, yeah, you're an Israelite, you're precious, and there's more to this world than what the world wants you to think. Right. Yeah, man. I hope everybody, I hope some of you brothers learn more from each other as well, right? And I hope some of you guys watching out here learn a little bit more about your brothers, so you can see, man, we're not different from you guys whatsoever. I mean, and so you can kind of see where everybody's headspace is at, man. Right? I don't know if anyone got anything else to say, man, but how y'all feeling? What y'all think about this, man?
I mean, honestly, bro, this is a lot more than what I expected. I thought it was gonna be like a little one-on-one type, little interviews, and then just have the people, just listen while everybody else is doing whatever downstairs or just in the corner. But nah, this was actually really cool, bro. This was hella intriguing. For the watchers and everything, the audience, I appreciate y'all time, even just coming to just learn a little bit more about us. Appreciate everything, the views, donations, chat, everything, like prayers, bro, and just keep it solid for Yahweh, man.
That's right. And let us know, man, if y'all was feeling today's class, if y'all want to see more stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? We can definitely do that. Drop it in the chat. Let us know if you was messing with this. You know what I'm saying? We could do different topics, different questions, possibly bring somebody up for questions, live questions next time. Maybe call in or something, have people in the background. We could probably do something like that too. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? If y'all like this, man, put that in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Let us know. All right.
Hey, man, y'all see us in a little bit, man. Lord willing, we'll be at camp trying to edify our people that way, man. Shalom, family.
Shalom.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom you seek, shall suddenly come to his temple, even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight in. Behold, he shall come, says the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi, and encouraging them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness.